Well, like it or not, the new 2022 WRX is here, finally officially unveiled this morning. And, well, it's underwhelming and disappointing to me, to say the least. So Subaru unveiled the new 2022 WRX this morning, and like I said, kind of underwhelming. Pretty much called it on the actual body lines, the styling, the headlights, the front fascia. For the most part, is Gen 2 Lavorge from the Australia, UK, and Japanese market. I figured this was going to be the case because Subaru is on the smaller side still, and they like to recycle parts anywhere they can to keep from developing expensive parts, body panels, etc. that they can't use across multiple platforms. So, let's start off with the numbers. The V8 chassis 2015 to 2021 WRX had an FA20 DIT 2-liter, making 268 horsepower. What do we get with the new 2022? We get an FA24 turbocharged 2.4 liter, making 271 horsepower. Yep, we get 3 whole horsepower more out of 0.4 of a liter added displacement. Torque, still 258, no change there. I'm sure there's a difference in the power curves and the RPM and where the power comes in and all that stuff, but still, come on, Subaru. 271 horsepower in the WRX. I would have liked to have seen personally 300 horsepower in the WRX and a minimum of 400 in the STI. What will the STI have? Based on what we see with the new generation of WRX, I wouldn't be surprised if we got a 320 horsepower STI when it is finally unveiled. Now, saying that, I do realize that the FA24 is a stronger platform that is capable of making quite a bit of horsepower. I know that a couple of performance shops have run the FA24, all stock internals, to around 500 horsepower. So there is tuning potential there, but that's not the point here. Subaru should be giving us this from the factory. Not all of it, not 500 horsepower, but more than 3 horsepower. I mean, that, in my mind, is ridiculous. We gained 0.4 of a liter and only gained 3 horsepower and kept the same torque figure. Absolutely unacceptable in my mind. I don't know what you guys think. I mean, leave in the comments what you think of this. Because looking at Subaru's official Instagram, the YouTube channel, and everywhere that people are talking about this car today, everyone has been highly disappointed in the looks of it, the performance of it, interior styling. It's just seems that this is going to be a big flop. Now, when the V8 chassis launched in 2015, it got a lot of negativity because everyone said it looked like the Evo X at the time. I really didn't like the V8 chassis, and I still really don't like the V8 chassis. It's grown on me, but I really don't like it over, say, the GD or GC chassis. Those were the pinnacle of WRX and STI to me growing up, and were the dream, the car I wanted. They were small, lightweight, simple steering and suspension, and the cars have just ballooned, gained weight, and got overly complex and far away from their roots. Talking about roots, Subaru of America, Subaru Japan seem not to care about their loyal customer basis that grew them from the very small car company they started out as into where they're at today. Now, I say that because they get tons of feedback from viewers like you and everyone else that buys Subaru vehicles via all their social medias, in-person communications at dealerships, surveys, etc. The people that started and grew this company by buying their quirky, weird little product and growing it to where it is have gone to the wayside. Subaru seems to not care anymore. They don't care about input from the consumer. They don't care about what Subaru brand loyalists want. They are targeting the mainstream. They are going after Toyota, Honda, Nissan, etc. buyers. They want a bland, mediocre, blend into the pack vehicle. Every iteration of the WRX has gotten more and more mild as we have gone through the years. The V8 chassis was very tuned down, and now this new chassis, which I don't know the chassis code for yet, it's very plain for a WRX. Compare it to, say, a Bug-Eye, a Hawkeye, or any of the other generations. Styling-wise, this is very bland. From the rear, it looks like a Honda Civic. From the front and the side profile, it looks like a sedan version of the Crosstrek with the plastic cladding on the side, which a lot of people commented, hey, we finally got a turbo sedan Crosstrek. I don't know, I'm getting off on a tangent here, but this new WRX has just rubbed me wrong, and I'm sure a lot of you Subaru loyalists are the same way. We've basically got no upgrade here. We've got a different skin on old tech. They've redesigned the steering and they've redesigned the suspension. It's now on the global platform, but we've got the same 6-speed manual transmission that we've had for years. It's basically the same 6-speed manual that the 2010 Outback and Legacy had in the manual transmission option. It's still the old cable shift 6-speed. I believe the final drive ratio has changed. I know it's a 444 now. I can't remember what the V8 chassis final drive ratio was. I do know they made a bullet point of that, having the 444 gear set. So with the manual transmission, we still have the CVT option, and Subaru has gone to the point of being so brazen as to call this the Subaru Performance Transmission instead of calling it a CVT. They don't want to call it a CVT in their marketing. Everywhere you look at the marketing on this new car, it's automatic transmission and Subaru Performance Transmission. They try not to say CVT because it's gotten such a stigma and a stink on it. They talk about, oh, it's an 8-speed performance transmission. No, it's still a CVT, and it's got 8 programmed fake shift points, kind of like the previous generation had. Don't try to church it up. It's a CVT. It's bland and boring. So back to the new engine. We only gained 3 horsepower, but we gained 0.4 of a liter of displacement. Now, they talked about a bullet point on the powertrain and mentioned that the wastegate on the new turbocharger is going to be electric. So, one more thing to worry about failing. We've had vacuum-actuated wastegates for a very long time that give little to no trouble, and now we're going to electronics. The more electronics we add to modern vehicles, the more expense, the more risk of component failure, and the more cost to keep up and maintain the vehicle. Maybe it's been tested, maybe it's something that's been used for years, I don't know. I don't have any specifications on what the brand turbocharger is they're using, nor this new electronic wastegate. I just know it's bullet pointed that the wastegate is now electronic and supposed to deliver quicker, more power, all that good stuff, but I just see it as another failure item to come. Looking at the interior, this new chassis, it's even more bland than the VA chassis in my opinion. I think the VA had a really decent looking interior, the layout of the dash, the instrument cluster, and the infotainment system. I wasn't a big fan of the infotainment system just because I really don't care about a touchscreen and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and all that mess. But the good thing with the VA was that infotainment was just for the screen, it was just for your navigation, it was all that. You still had manual control knobs or manual control for the climate control. But now, as we see in the picture, we've got this new massive 11.6-inch touchscreen which controls all the infotainment and the HVAC. So, if they have another rash of issues like the original Harman Kardon system did in the 2015, I believe, year model Outback Legacy, I think that's when that fiasco started with the black screens and no backup camera, no changing of the radio and everything. Well, now you're going to lose your HVAC, so you can't turn on your air conditioning, you can't turn on your heat, you can't turn on your heated seats. I don't believe this is an all-new 11.6. I think this is the one borrowed from the Legacy Outback. It's been in there for, I think, since 18 or 19. I think it's the same one the Ascent's using. So likely they got a lot of the bugs worked out, but still, who wants a honking 11.6-inch touchscreen in a WRX? That's not what this car was ever about, and it's just to appease the average consumer. Now, I know a lot of you probably like this, and hey, it's nice, but it's not what I want in a WRX. A plain radio is fine with me. I don't even need navigation. Who really needs navigation anymore? We all have it on our smartphones. It just seems like another system that's going to date the car. All these technological upgrades and things are what date cars so dramatically over the last 10, 20 years. All this stuff is refreshed so much. I mean, every year most of us get a new smartphone because it's last year's tech. But when we make these vehicles and put this cutting edge tech in it, when they're made, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, it looks horrible and dated, and then there's issues with it. It's a huge expense to replace it or repair it if there's an issue. It's just too much aggravation, in my opinion. Who remembers back to the 2004 STI when it first launched in the United States? The majority of them didn't even have radios. They had a block-off plate because to add a radio to the 2004 STI was about $1,000 option, so almost no one optioned the factory radio in 04 when they first brought it to the US. And here we've got an 11.6-inch touchscreen infotainment HVAC conglomerate in the middle of the dash. It's just such a disconnect over the last 18 years from the GD chassis to this new chassis. So I don't want to ramble forever. I'm just kind of sitting here. I've read through all the press briefings. I've looked at some people's videos on it. I haven't seen the car in person. I'm just vomiting forward all these things in my head, I've seen since the release this morning. So hopefully it comes out somehow coherent and it's not just a jumbled mess to watch. I just wanted to get my first impressions, first thoughts about the car out and to you viewers, and to get your feedback, see what you think about it, because like I said, most of the feedback I'm seeing from people on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube to Subaru America directly is, for the majority, negative. People are not impressed. They don't like the design. They don't like the chassis. They don't like the interior. They missed the mark by a lot. They didn't listen to the Subaru consumers, the loyalists, the people that bought WRXs and STIs and got it to the point where it's as popular as it is today compared to where it was when they first brought it to the U.S. market. So I don't know. I know I'm rambling here. I know I'm getting off on a wild hair like I like to do. But, I just think they missed the mark. The plastic cladding on the outside, the bland styling, the bland interior, the huge infotainment system, the clunky old 6-speed cable-shifted transmission or a CVT, the fact that we got a new platform that only makes 3 horsepower more in the same torque. It's just a lot of underwhelmingness, in my opinion. But it's my opinion. If you don't agree, if you love it, power to you. It just isn't my cup of tea right now, first impressions. Might that change when it comes out? I see it at the dealer lot. I drive one. Possibly, but I don't know. It just feels like they missed the bullseye by a lot on this one. Guys, let me know what you think of the new 2022 WRX. Leave those comments below. What do you like? What do you hate? What did they get wrong? Let's have a discussion. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.